Welcome back to the vlog, guys. So today we're going to do an oil change on the GT4. I've removed one bolt here, so you can see the heat shield on the turbo's a little loose. There's one real tough bolt in there, and it's a 12mm spanner, and it's literally quarter turn at a time, putting the spanner in, getting it out. Once we do that, we can then get the oil filter here off. I haven't run the engine in a few days, so it should be empty. It probably would have been better maybe to heat the oil. I might do that before I drain it, but let's see how we get on. Aside from that, yeah, just a new OEM Toyota filter, some, I think it's Shell Helix 5W30 oil, and yeah, then we'll move on to the brake system. Okay, so this will give you a quick look. I slackened off this heat shield so it moved. I've now got my oil filter clamp on top on the ratchet and extension, and it just fits between the oxygen sensor. Off camera, this was pretty tight. I had to actually wrap a shop rag around the top of the filter in between the clamp just to give enough friction to actually slacken it off, but now it's moving, so I'm gonna take this, get this pretty loose. The oil filter's drained. Hopefully nothing much spills out the bottom. We'll get this off and then go under the car, drain the sump, new filter, refill it, and that's it. Okay, so there's the old filter off, and you can see down in there the housing, not much room. So for a rally car, I guess this was never designed to be changed at the side of the road really, because everything's built around it. So yeah, let's get the new filter on, car a bit higher on the ramp, and then we'll drain out the old stuff. But looking at it, there's no shavings. Oil seems pretty good, to be honest. Haven't done much mileage, but still, it's pretty clean, no particles or anything like that, so I don't think we'll have to worry about the bottom end, thankfully. Okay guys, so I'm onto the brake line. So what I did was I slackened off the bolt here and took off the old line, and to prevent all the fluid going, I put a clamp on the brake line just to nip it there, so that I could get this on quickly. So that means that basically I just have to undo using shifting spanner here to hold this part. I've got this lovely brake spanner that goes over and down, and you can slacken off the hard line. I also had a lot of difficulty getting the bleeder hose out, bleeder screw, so it doesn't look like this is going to vent. It's just seeping out through the thread, so I think this is probably blocked, to be honest. Another fine job so on the previous workmanship. So we'll get this off, we'll get the new brake line on, and then we'll bleed it a little bit just to get any air out, and then I'll do the other lines, and then I'll go around and actually flush the system. So for now, the priority is just to actually replace the flexible lines with these new Hell braided brake lines. Once they're all on, the last job will be to come back to each caliper, and I can then bleed the system properly and actually flush out the dirty old fluid. But like I say, there's no point in doing that now, so priority is just swap them out one by one on each corner, and I think it'll take a lot longer than I thought, to be honest, but we're getting there. Also, we have these little clamps, so these secure the, as you can see, the front one's already broken, almost, it's on its last legs. I'll try and get new ones of those. And there's also a circlip, so this goes under here, and then this presses up and you slide that metal tab in, and that actually locks the brake line into this hard clamp that's bolted to the frame. So that's basically how they stay in place. And also this one, sort of, the hose can pass through this black line here, so this is fixed to the suspension, and the hose can move back and forward through there just to give it some flexibility. Okay, there you can see the plastic grommet around the brake line and the metal retaining clip to keep it locked in to the suspension arm. And also on this side, we've got it in above to lock it in place. It doesn't really move at all, to be honest. That's tight. Yeah, so that's it. So same again on the other side, and that's taken about an hour and a half, which is horrendously slow, but that'll give you an idea of the timeline on an old rusty car where every bolt is a fight. So yeah, it's taken a while, but we'll get there. So time to go over to the passenger side front, whip the wheel off there, and then we'll do the same job again and then move on to the rear. one other thing that I've done as part of changing the front lines, this brake fluid header tank had actually dropped down to about the seam, so I had lost about half the fluid. So I've just used this funnel and some old brake fluid just to top it up, because it's basically to prevent it getting airlocked. I will be flushing the whole system, so it's not like I'm putting kind of opened out of date oil deliberately into the system. I'm only doing that to keep a level, and I've got a large new bottle which I'll completely flush the system right through with. So again, this is just so that I don't get air trapped in the lines in the meantime, and it'll also sort of help to flush out the really filthy stuff once I start doing the rear brakes. This header tank will drop again when I take the rear wheels off and do those lines. So we'll flush this kind of unused but open oil, because it's hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air over time, so you don't want to actually use the same brake fluid. So what I'll do is I've got a nice new seal bottle, we'll flush this through, and then we'll flush it again with new oil, and that'll make sure that you're starting with a really perfect new oil sample. So that's the front passenger side done, and that was actually a lot easier, strangely, and probably learning curve on the first one. There it is. So what I'll do is, once I've bled these brakes, I'll give the whole area a good degrease and brake fluid spray, because you don't want to go for the annual inspection, the MOT here, and then get complaints of oil around your brake lines and feel for no reason. So it's really important you clean up, and it also helps you find leaks as well. Okay, so this is the rear back passenger side. So after the last scene off camera, things went a bit turned for the worse. This is actually the hard pipe connection, which then connects on to the flexi, which then goes to the caliper, but it actually sheared off the hard pipe there. So I did the same as before, put this, obviously holding the spanner, using the brake flared spanner to try and take the compression fitting off, and it just completely sheared. I thought I seen some bubbles with oil, and I thought, okay, it's on the threads, give some brake cleaner. No, actually the pipe has just decided to disintegrate, if you can maybe see there. So I've just nipped it flat for now. What I'll probably have to do is trace the line back under the chassis, and it comes out around one of these ones. So I'm got somewhere along here, I'm gonna just cut it and put in a new I think it's M10 by 1 fitting, and flare that onto the pipe, and then make up the remaining new pipe back to here. And then once I've made the new pipe running from the fitting to here, I'll then put on another new fitting, and that will allow me to connect up the new flexi. So basically I have to just cut this whole section of line out somewhere up here under the car, and run a new copper line to here. And then you could put a new fitting on there, but the problem is that then it'll actually be sitting too high, and when you go to put the flexible into the mounting point on the chassis, it won't fit. So you have to actually get it to the correct length, so it'll actually be easier cropping this section out and making a new section, and then just going with it basically. So cut the length, and it'll be new, and it'll be all nice shiny new fittings, and everything will be a joy to work with. But to be honest, it's a pain in the ass, and I had to go and buy the tool online, buy the fittings online, everything. So it's just delayed everything. So if the parts aren't here by the weekend, I'm going to have to cancel the MOT, the annual test, and then just fit it in when I get a chance, because I'm not going to get stressed out about it. It's an old car, but it's just really annoying when the front side went so well, and like, well, this was the last part to have the car ready. So unfortunately shit happens, but that's the joys of motoring. So I'll fill you in when I can. For now, I don't know, maybe I'll get this piece in the vise and try and take it off, and I really don't want to reuse any fittings, because but that flared end connection, I think that's M10, you can see the bit of hard pipe sticking out the end there. I prefer really not to reuse that if I can, so hopefully I've got the sizes correct, and when they come they will be the correct size, and I can just literally use a new fitting with the brake line. So this wheel's probably going to be the same. I've ordered extra fittings for that just in case, and enough brake lines, so I'll probably end up having to cut the rear lines out and just making a whole new section of hard pipe for the rear. So we'll see, but I'll keep you posted, and also I'll do a video on that as well, making brake lines, which is going to be fun. So enjoy.